Welcome back to the 46 Zone podcast. Back this week. We were off last week. Things came up, so we couldn't make it. But we'll talk a little bit about week 4, for the Bears and NFC North. This past week, week 5, and then we'll preview week 6. So in week 4, the Bears get a win against a beat-up Rams team at home. Caleb Williams' game, once again, is still going upward. Kind of liking him to, for the old folks out there, the Price is White yodeler, going up the thing with the price. He's going off. I just don't hope he doesn't fall off the cliff, and he will. This was discussed before. C.J. Stroud, in the middle of his great year last year, had a big stinker, a couple of them, 145 and a touchdown and a pick. So
I mean, look at him this year. Yep. C.J. Stroud, he's having that little bit of sophomore slump. Everybody falls off the cliff eventually.
So with Caleb, he had a very good game 4 of his career. The key to that game, though, was DeAndre Swift ran the ball very, very well against the Rams.
I will say the O-line did look a little better in that game. We were there, sitting in the end zone seat, so you could see a little bit more of the plays. The O-line looked much better than it has, I will say, and that also contributes to being able to run the ball and giving Caleb Williams a little more time. Yeah, and it was
encouraging, that game. To see what they did offensively and defense. Defense keeps doing their job. They're doing what they're supposed to do. Matt Stafford, I know we're going to mix weeks here, but 2 weeks in a row, he had Bears and Packers a chance to beat them both with the ball at the end, and he didn't. If he had a full complement of the players, I think they beat the Bears and Packers. I think the Rams are a really good team. They're just missing key components right now. So the Bears get away with a win, get out of Chicago, get a home win, a big home win to continue their streak of home wins.
If both their receivers come back, if they can get Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua back, watch out for them at the end of the year because they're going to be a sneaky team going to the playoffs if they're healthy by then, especially with how that division's playing. That division's very up and down. Seen San Francisco lose this week and the Seahawks lose to the Giants this past week.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting on the road. Last week in week 4 also in the NFC North, you had the Packers and Vikings matchup. Vikings continued their unbeaten streak last week, going 4-0, beating the Packers. Jumped out to a 28-0 lead and holding on for a 32-31 win or 32-29.
Yeah, 33-29.
Yeah, 33-29 because they need a touchdown, yeah. Mm-hmm. So they end up winning the game, a pretty good game, tale of two halves for both teams. I don't think the Packers had an answer in the first half, and they had field goal kicking woes once again. And then Detroit on Monday night, big win for them at home versus Seattle, and Seattle came in undefeated, and the Lions took care of them. So after that week, you had the Packers at 2-2, Bears at 2-2, Lions at 3-1, and the Vikings at 4-0. Now this past week, week 5 action, the Bears looked better again against a bad Panthers team, but that's what you should do against bad teams. Bad teams you need to beat, and they beat them really well. The running game again looked good. Caleb Williams looked the most comfortable he's looked all year, and they get a big win, 36-10 over the Andy Dalton-led Panthers.
Until he gave up on him.
Yeah, it was a weird game. If you check out the Benchwarmer podcast, we talk a little bit about Deshaun Watson and Andy Dalton might have gave up on their teams and spots. Check out the Benchwarmer podcast. Kind of looked like those players both just walked out on the field on 4th down opportunities they could have gone for, and they said they weren't doing it. But that's something we talked about on the Benchwarmer podcast this past week, which is out now. So check it out. And a huge game for the Bears. Run game. The defense again stepped up again. I believe 21 points or less in the last 11 or 12 games, and I believe 10. Only averaging giving up 16 points a game in the last 10 or 12 games. So
yeah, they're this season they are, I believe, 5th in the league in defensive points allowed.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, if this offense can continue to get better and score points, this can be a hard team to beat. And I'm not just saying that because it's a Bears podcast. I'm telling you right now, it's just football. It's basic football, but they have to be good teams. And they haven't really beat a good team yet. Houston was their only test they've had this year, and they struggled at times. They could have won the game, but the only good team they've really beat right now, I would say, they really haven't beat a good team. Maybe the Rams, give me a little credit, but they got injuries. So they're 3-2. They've won games they probably should have. They probably lost a game against the Colts they probably should have won. The Texan game, they lost to a better team. So they are 3-2 right now, and they are tied for last place. It's crazy.
Young team, a lot of learning going on, and to see them with plus 500 record, good sign for a young team.
And Shane Waldron looks like the last 2 weeks he's decided that they are actually going to dedicate to running the ball, which people don't understand. When you run the ball, it makes your offensive line better. And your offensive line can when you get them in play action situations, it's easier to block guys. They're 1 second slower because they're maybe looking for the run, then they attack. They're not attacking. The one thing the Bears did well this week, especially, they had not a lot of penalties. They stayed away from that 1st and 15, 2nd and 12. They had a lot of short down and distances. I think in the first half they only faced like 2 third downs. They converted early and often, and the offense looked like it was in rhythm, timing. Everything was going right. He was finding the right players. He only had one bad throw, which was the opening throw of the game. I thought they almost could have been a pick six. It wasn't. But
that was tipped at the line too. Remember?
Oh yeah, we believe it was tipped at the line. Yeah. So you never know. Yeah. So but overall the game was good. Second half they kind of, I don't know if they're trying to be different or whatever, but they kind of for a while they got kind of quiet, but they already had that big lead in the first half, so they pretty much let the defense take care over the rest of the game, and they ended up winning 36-10. My grades for the team would be, I'm going to give the offense they're still a work in progress. I think they did score 36, but they played a poor Carolina team. I'm going to give the offense a B minus. The defense gets an A plus for the day, 4 sacks, an interception. I believe they had a fumble recovery. Yep. So they had a really good day. And then special teams once again was solid. I'm going to give them a B because Cairo Santos missed an extra point. You cannot miss extra points in the NFL. That's just that's crazy. It was windy there, but you still can't miss it. So that's my grades: a B, A plus, and a B. But hey, overall that would be probably a B plus or an A, right? So if you put them all together, that's good. That's a good day. And you can't complain who they beat because I saw this and it was pretty comical that we're giving Jane Daniels, and Jane Daniels is having a good year. This is not a knock on him. I'm fine with the Bears having Caleb Williams. I have nothing against that at all. But look who Jane Daniels has beat. They have a combined 4 wins. So, and that means they each have 1 win. I'll help you with the math. So every team he's beat has 1 win to this point in the year. And this week, we get to see, and I think he'll have a decent game. Baltimore is who they play this week, so we'll see how they face that. This week also, the Jets-Vikings. Vikings go to London and beat the Jets 23-17. Moved to 5-0 for it's crazy. That would have been the last team I would have thought be 5-0. And the Packers, like we talked about a few minutes ago, they win 24-19 at the Rams. Packers-Bears tied for last at 3-2. You got the Lions at 3-1 with the bye week. They did not play this past week. And the Vikings, like I just said, 5-0, and they are the best division in football. They have the only teams are
only division. All teams are above 500.
They have the most wins in the they have the most wins for a division. They've been doing well outside the division overall as teams. They haven't played each other much. Besides, I think
Minnesota,
the only division game
that's
the only division game so far. So this division is going to be crazy.
It's an end-loaded divisional schedule.
This division is going to be crazy. The last 12 weeks going to be nuts in that division because they're going to play a lot of games against each other. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. But back to the Bears. The Bears, once again, pressure was good on the defensive line. I believe the linebacking core was solid. The safeties played really, really well. Bynum had his first interception as a Bear, or Byard, I'm sorry.
Yep.
And
that was a great interception.
Yeah, very good.
Going
very
back,
good.
2 hands.
Yeah, very good play. Almost like an over-the-shoulder Jim Emmons baseball catch. So it was pretty nice play. And the pretty crazy stat I saw today, the top 3 teams in interceptions are the Packers, Vikings, and Bears. So the NFC North owns the top 3 teams with, I don't know if it's creating turnovers or interceptions. I think it's interceptions. But so top 3, so all 3 defenses playing well in that division as well. And the Lions are no slouches. So, I mean, division's going to be good. We'll see as long as they can stay away from injuries. The division's pretty healthy at this point. And they're winning games. So, but the Bears, impressive again. And I will go back to talking. We were talking about Justin Fields last week a little bit, and I did get to watch Justin Fields for the first time. And he's the same guy. And you know what? They're winning games, but now they've lost 2 in a row. And he missed a bunch of wide open guys, eyes dropped down, trying to make plays, and they run him way too. Arthur Smith runs him every other play, and he is not going to last the whole season. Running quarterback sweeps, that's all they're running, and they got to get away from that for him.
Running quarterbacks are hard to last.
Yep.
Look at Joe Flacco. Yeah. He's late 30s, pocket passer, still making throws for the Colts.
Yeah.
Got like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, those guys aren't playing in their 40s if they're running out and getting killed every other play. So
that's another stat too. Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, and Bo Nix, the only 3 quarterbacks I think after 5 games of a season to be over 500. Rookie 3, the first 3 drafted in the draft.
It's the most wins by
3
rookies too since like stats were counted.
So first 5 weeks of a season, that's pretty impressive too. Bo Nix is doing a good job. Not as great efficient as a passer as Jane Daniels and Caleb Williams has become the last couple of weeks, and Jane Daniels has been almost all year. But they're winning games, and he's complimenting the defense they have out in Denver. So going to be interesting.
You think this is the best quarterback draft class we've seen?
That's too early. Just like people comparing Daniels and Williams, it's too early. Maybe in 3-4 years we can sit back and go, okay, they're all
franchise quarterbacks.
They're all winning divisions and they're in the playoffs continuously, getting deep runs, and then you can say it. But right now it's too early. It's 5 games, and you still don't know. People can say who they would take, but people aren't. There's still a lot of teams that would take Caleb Williams. And some teams that would take Jane Daniels. It's just how it is. So the Bears this week have a tough test. And it's not tough because the team, it's NFL team, so it doesn't matter. But got to go overseas and play. Got to go to London and play. The Bears left on Monday, but I did read the Jaguars aren't leaving until Thursday. So that's interesting because this is documented, well documented. A lot of teams that leave later struggle in these games, and I think they're leaving later because they're staying for an extra week because they play back to back in London. So in their defense, they leave Thursday and probably not coming home till the Monday after or Sunday after. So they're staying for 2 weeks, almost 10 days. So I get why they're leaving late. I'm not going to give the Bears any extra credit for to win the game because of this, because it's still NFL and guys come to work. But early line is the Bears are giving 2.5. They are the home team, considered the home team in London. So the end zone should be painted Chicago Bears, I believe. Jaguars 1-3 coming off their first win.
I think they leave them blank for this. They just put each team's name in both the end zones.
Vikings were in both last week.
Oh, they are doing that now?
Yeah, I noticed that last week, both purple.
I know that they used to just, for the international games, they just put both teams out there.
Yeah, I thought unless they change it for this week. But the Jaguars get their first win last week, 1-3. They go to, and the Bears, like we talked about, move to 3-2 with their third win of the year, and they back-to-back wins. So how do we? It's 8:30 a.m. kickoff our time, and they're playing in London at Tottenham
Hotspur
Stadium. They play last week or no?
Yeah,
the same stadium they played last week.
Yep.
So, how do you see this game working out, Chase? What do you think's going to happen in this game?
Jaguars don't look good at all. I mean, their offense has just been brutal to watch lately. I mean, you put up 37 against the Colts and you take one home, but that means your defense has given up 34 points to the Colts, which still isn't that great of a look. I think the Bears should be able to have one, but I mean, it is hard going. It's hard getting on a flight going 8 hours and playing in a whole nother setting, obviously, different time and everything. So, I mean, I hope the Bears come to play, and I hope their O-line's there. So, I really think every Bear game comes down to how's your O-line going to play. That's really what it is. So, I'm going to go with the Bears, though.
Yeah, and the only thing that's bothering me is Brisker may miss this game. He stayed back with concussion symptoms. He can still join the team, but I'm guessing he had to leave by Thursday or Friday at the latest to get out there. And with a concussion, I'm guessing getting on a plane for 6 to 8 hours isn't the best idea. So we'll see. I mean, he's been at this point. I think Brisker. If you watch any football and you watch the Bears and any national, people would say, I think Brisker right now is a defensive player of the year nominee. I think he really is, and he's on one of the best defenses. And right now, it's only been 5 weeks. They could be the worst defense by week 10. But as of right now, he is a defensive player of the year candidate, and without him, it may be tough, but you are going up against the 32nd ranked defense in the Jaguars, and the Bears offense has moved up every week, and if they can put on any kind of offense like they did last week against Carolina, I think they come home with a win. I think they cover the spread. I'm just going to go. This will be a nice game to win. I believe they're going into the bye then. So get this win. Come home from London. Get 2 weeks off. Refresh, revive, because it's a long stretch. I'm a big disagreeer of having people have buys this early because I think it's dumb then. It makes no sense for these teams. I think the buy should be all between week 9, 10, 11, and 12. They should all be there, and NFL just lose a couple bucks because having a week 5 bye like some teams last week and a week 6 bye makes no sense. Yeah. It might a little bit, but now they got up now like the team like the Eagles and the Lions have to play 12 games in a row now. there is no day off. I mean, or 13. I'm sorry, because they get 3. Yeah, so there is no
and
rest.
then you got obviously playoff teams right there.
Yeah.
So then you're going. So, I mean, look at the Lions like this. They had a week 5 bye. The Lions could play in the Super Bowl. That's 17 weeks of football.
Yeah.
That's 17 straight.
And
weeks
if you don't
of
get the bye, only one team gets a bye now. You don't get that bye in the playoffs either. So you're playing a lot of football in a row, and I just think they should put it more in the middle, or I don't know, but that's another discussion for another day. So you got the Bears. I like the Bears in this game just because of what I've seen the last couple weeks. I think they keep it going, and I think they and Trevor Lawrence has had a tendency to turn the ball over at times. And that's one thing Caleb Williams has done, knock on wood. He hasn't turned the ball over much fumble-wise. He's had a couple this year. Had a couple bad picks against Houston, but that was a little different game, kind of running for his life type. A fun stat we talked about today, earlier, me and Jace were talking, the pressure, your passer rating versus pressure. And last week, Caleb Williams led that. He was at 123 something. This week he was third, correct?
Yeah, 126.
So he was third and with pressure. So when you got that rating, that means he's not throwing picks against blitzes and against extra pressure. And that's huge, because that's what pressure is supposed to do is force you into bad decisions. And it hasn't yet. And when I said yet because it's going to at some point this year. He's gonna make a throw. It's gonna be like, oh, he shouldn't have done that. But he's a rookie. He's 20, 21 years old.
I will say the best play he had under pressure was the flick up to DJ Moore. The pocket was pretty much going on him, and he just dropped it right in the bucket, and DJ Moore went up there and got it. It was a great catch.
Yeah, it was a good game plan by Waldron, and I hope they have a game plan for this one this week. And I think a lot of the pressure's on the Jaguars here, and I think they're going to be the ones to play a little tighter. I think the Bears are going to go in loose. I think they believe that they probably should have won a couple games they lost this year already. So if they keep moving up this way, I like the trend going on. Also, the Cardinals visit Packers this week. Packers are giving 4.5 points. Who do you like in that game? Cardinals, Packers. You got Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. coming to Lambeau Field for a visit.
I think you got to go with the Cardinals. Just how they've been playing lately. They've been on a roll. And I mean, Packers defense has looked very sketchy at points throughout the year, and I mean their offense didn't have an issue getting going last week. Their run game was strong, and I mean obviously didn't affect them having 2 receivers out. But the Cardinals team is hot. Their defense played really well against San Francisco, and Kyler Murray is looking very good right now.
Yeah, the one thing with the Packers, though, I'm going to say they've been getting turnovers. This new defense coordinator has got them getting turnovers. They still have a penchant not to be able to stop the run. They still having trouble stopping the run against the Rams. The Rams would have had to lead in the fourth quarter. The Packers would have probably lost that game because they would have ran the clock out on them. They couldn't stop them. They were getting 5 yards a carry, 6 yards a carry. Kyren Williams looked good. Packers didn't run the ball very well. It's weird. The Packers started out the year running the ball really, really well, and they haven't run the ball well. So I don't know if it's an offensive philosophy. I don't know if this is, back when Rodgers was there, it was like, oh, my God, Rodgers just is changing audibles to pass. I think this is LaFleur's offense. I think he wants the quarterback to throw a bunch, and to be down 2 receivers and still want to throw a bunch is kind of nuts to me. And the play that Love had at the goal line when he threw it underhand, and it was a bad play, and everybody will agree with that. But you got to protect him there and run the ball a couple times. I know you're trying to catch him.
Zone,
yeah, you're trying to catch him off guard. I get it, but your defense is playing well. The Rams are down on offense. Even if you punt from there, give your defense a chance. And I mean, they could have won the game by a couple touchdowns without that play. So you wouldn't have that situation. So I think LaFleur, we give him a lot of credit for being a good coach, and I think he is. But sometimes I think he doesn't do. I mean, we talk about Waldron as a Bear fan not running the ball enough. I think LaFleur does the same thing sometimes. He gets away from the run, and last year against the 49ers in the playoff game, Aaron Jones had a great first half. I think he carried the ball 5 times in the second half when it was a close. It wasn't like they were down by 2 touchdowns and to catch up. They were in the game. They actually might have been winning in the second half at some point. So I don't understand there. But back to the question of who's going to win the game, I'm going to have to take the Packers at home, but I will say one thing. If it comes down to a field goal, the Cardinals win because the Packers will miss the field goal.
Oh.
So, but the Packers, I think, win this game by enough where they're in the lead. It'll be the same type of game as they play against the Rams. It'll be back and forth. And I think the one thing with the Cardinals, though, I don't know about their defense. Their defense is, kind kind of, we don't know the defense, but the Packers do have a better defense. They have a better defense than they do, and the Packers offense is going to take advantage of that. I think the Packers win this game. So you got a good game too, a Lions-Cowboys game. It's at in Dallas, and you have the Lions giving 3.5. They're 3.5-point favorites at Dallas after Dallas coming off a big Sunday night win in Pittsburgh. So what do you like between the Lions and the Cowboys? This is a big one. This is a big one for. Well, every game's a big one, but this is a big one. The Cowboys kind of need this game. They're in desperation mode. I mean, they're not. What are they? 3-2 now. You got the Lions at 3-1. The Lions need this game too, just keep pace with the Vikings. So this is crazy.
I like the Lions, but coming off a bye, you don't know. It's very hard to get out of that bye week sometimes for teams. I'd like to see. I'd like to see the Lions win, but there's a lot of factors that go into that game. I mean, you got to see. I think a big thing is seeing a strong run game early from that team. Really get those linebackers out. It keeps the Cowboys defense guessing. I don't know. Cowboys are very week by week when it comes to how they play. Especially Dak Prescott lately. He'll have a good game or he'll have a mediocre game. Where I think with the Lions, you're just sort of what you're going to get with the Lions offense, where you're going to get a solid 20 points at least out of them. So I think I'm going to go with the Lions going on the road. And
I like the Lions too. I'm going to kind of disagree with what you said about the bye week. I think the bye week will benefit the Lions. I think they'll be really prepared for this game. I think they have a different atmosphere in their building now. This isn't a team that is. I mean, I think the stigma. I mean, we always talk about teams talking about past wins and past glories. Well, we got to get out of the mindset of talking about past failures of the Lions. This team is one of the best teams in the NFL, hands down right now. They are one of the best teams. They score points. Their defense is much improved. They got Hutchinson, who is arguably one of the best pass rushers in football next to T.J. Watt. I'm going to say T.J. Watt's incredible. Watch him the other night. But I will say that the Lions go there. I think I don't like guessing. You don't like predicting blowouts because blowouts in the NFL are tough. But this could be another Baltimore Ravens situation for the Cowboys, I think. And if Micah Parsons is out still, which I believe he will be, that's a huge loss for them. I just think the way the Lions can run the ball, and that's the key. If the Lions run the ball well, they're going to win because Jared Goff lives and dies with the play action. He's one of the best play action quarterbacks. Him and Kirk Cousins, two best play actions in football, hands down. Nobody else is better right now. So if they run the ball, which they will with Montgomery and Gibbs, I think the Cowboys win this game. I think they win it pretty easy. I think because I think the Cowboys. I don't think the Cowboys are a bad team. I just think they're not. They're just with injuries right now with them, and I think there's some kind of disconnect between Lamb and Prescott. We'll see. Maybe they'll make me eat my words, but it's very possible. So that's a big game. But I think we have a clean sweep this week in the division. I really do. I think every team wins. Bears, Packers, and Lions win, and the Vikings are off, so we all get the chance to catch up one game to them or get closer to them. So you have a couple fun facts I see, Jace, this week.
Versus the Panthers. Caleb Williams became the first Bears rookie quarterback to throw for 300-plus yards and 2+ passing touchdowns with no interceptions. Surprising to you, or
no? I'm not surprised because he shows he has the tools, and like people say, people argue this and this is one thing I had no problems with him drafting him, the Bears. I guarantee every team in the NFL would have took Caleb Williams number one. If maybe 2 or 3 would have changed and took Jane Daniels, that's fine. But the only reason the Redskins took Jane Daniels is because they had to. He was there. Okay, and what Redskins took, if the Bears would have took Marvin Harrison Jr. there, I wonder if you ask the Redskins, they'll never tell you, but I'm guaranteeing they would have took Caleb Williams. So with that said, it doesn't surprise me at all. He being a number one pick, he has to do this stuff. He has to every week improve, and he has. He has to become a guy that he's on the leaderboard. When's the last time 2 weeks in a row you saw a Bears quarterback on the leaderboard in quarterback numbers for anything? Never. And this wasn't. I remember Mitch Trubisky when you're through. 5 touchdowns a game against Tampa, and Tampa was terrible, but they took care of business. But in that game, Mitch Trubisky was throwing to wide open guys, where Caleb Williams made some good throws
Contested.
again. The DJ Moore throw was great. The first DJ Moore touchdown, he was open. That was a great route. Gave him time, rub route in the middle, got him open on deep crossers.
He was hitting Cole Kmet too in tight spots.
Yeah. The thing is, his accuracy is good. It'll get better, but it's good. It's not Josh Allen when he first came to the league. It's not Mitch Trubisky. It's not Justin Fields. It is good. He's got good accuracy. He really does when he gets and he gets his feet set. We talked about the game that day. He when he moves to different targets, he actually moves his eyes and then he flips his feet to the target. He doesn't like move he doesn't have happy feet. He almost sits to me sometimes for my taste almost too like grounded. He's not like got on which the balls of the feet thing he'll get into, but it's not a lot of bounce in him yet. But so far so good, and I don't think we'll see. Like I said, this game this week they is winnable against not a great team. Not saying they're a team that's definitely beatable. They're better than the Panthers. Let's put it that way. This team's better than the Panthers. The Jaguars could easily win 6 in a row and be a playoff team.
If I want to put the Bears in a power rankings, I put the Bears at 15 right now.
Yeah,
right in the middle. Honestly.
The power rankings came out and I think they're at 16 or 17 right now, which it's fair. Mm-hmm. They're not the best. They're last place in the division, so it can't be. So.
Would you put the Bears as a contender?
No, not yet. Mm-hmm. Because, like I said, they haven't beaten nobody that I believe is a playoff team. Mm-hmm. The only playoff team they played, they had trouble blocking them. Their defense played playoff football this year.
Yeah,
their special teams have playoff football, but you can't. It's hard. It's not like even the last time the Bears made the play or made a run when they went to the Super Bowl in 2006. Their offense could run the ball, and their line was really, really good. Yes. Their passing game was okay, but that's how they got there. In 2016, when they missed double doink the field goal, or 18, I'm sorry. 18, yeah. That same team, that defense was really good. The offense was okay, and special teams was really good. Yeah, because they were good. But guess what?
They had an okay offensive plan with a decent line and a defense. Yep. The defense would go out there and stop you, where your offense could go get you a field goal or a touchdown.
And the reason they lost to the Eagles in that game wasn't because of double doink, but it was also because they couldn't put up points.
Correct.
They had to rely on the kicker, and then Trubisky had a good fourth quarter, which he really did have a good fourth quarter. But it wasn't too late because they gave him a chance, but it was too late because if they just scored a touchdown earlier, they would have never got to that.
What was the score of that game?
15-13 or something weird like
that.
So
because they would have won by 1 on that field goal.
Yeah. So I mean, it's hard to win on a defense only in the NFL now. It's not like back 30 years ago you could put a defense out there like. I hate talking about the 85 Bears, but like the Ravens team, the 2001 or whatever it was, their defense was incredible as well, and they had Trent Dilfer running the show, and they won a Super Bowl. So
who?
Trent Dilfer was their quarterback. So yeah, it's hard to do that nowadays. It's hard to carry because there's points being scored in the NFL. You have to score. I mean, think about besides the boring Super Bowl between Rams and the Patriots.
13-3,
13-3 it might have been. Mm-hmm. Every year the winner scores 20-something.
Well, look at last year's Super Bowl. It was a shootout.
Yeah, you got to be able to score. You have to, because the defense get sometimes caught up in it, and they get caught in the offenses. By that time of the year, their offense should be better. And that's the thing with the Bears right now. Their defense playing really well, but these offenses are going to get better. As you saw this last week, the passing yards by quarterbacks was up probably 25-30% passing yards from the first 4 weeks. So the offense is starting to get better now. So the Bears defense still played well, but they played Andy Dalton. So the thing is that now you're going to play better teams that are passing the ball better. So your defense is going to probably start giving up more than 16 points a game. It won't be bad, but it's still your offense has to start picking up their slack. So I think that to me is the big deal with them. I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't make them contender yet, like you asked. I think they have a chance if their offense can continue to move upward and they stay away from the injury bug. But besides that, that's the big thing. One other thing that came out, I know we usually talk about the NFC North, but we didn't get chance to talk about it on the Benchwarmer podcast this week. The Basement Benchwarmers podcast, check it out. Available in all different formats of podcasting, Apple, whatever. You look it around, you'll find it. There's a website that directs you to look up basementbenchwarmers.com. But the thing is that Robert Saleh was fired today, kind of out of nowhere. This is on Tuesday, the 8th. He was fired, and it's kind of weird. Of course, you got one side saying it was Rodgers, one side said, well, blah, blah, whatever. I don't know. I don't get into that stuff. I know that now rumor came out that he was about ready to demote Paul Hackett, and right after that, Nathaniel, and he was fired. right? That's what they're saying.
I'm looking for it right now.
Yeah, so who knows what story is true? The one story came out, security actually escorted him out. I don't think it was because he was being crazy, but I think they just it was very, very, a very weird thing. Very rarely does a coach get escorted out of a facility when he gets fired. I mean, they usually give him time to do what he has to, probably say goodbye to people and whatever, and this didn't happen that way. So I don't know if Robert Saleh had war on the ownership. I mean, maybe Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. I know it was kind of icy. I think last week there was a press conference and Robert Saleh kind of blamed Rodgers for the 5 false starts team had, and Rodgers was asked about it in the press conference later and said, well, maybe how about we just start keep people held accountable. And I know people are going to say, well, that's a Rodgers thing. I'm not an NFL player, never was. I won't pretend to be. But I have read a lot that NFL locker rooms and a lot of that talk is sacred. It stays in the building. And I think a lot of players may have took exception to him calling Aaron Rodgers out. Because Aaron Rodgers, for all people you want to believe, I think he's a well-liked NFL player by other guys in the league in circles. You see it all the time in these shows. People wait for him after games to say, hi, I talked to him. You see him when the Jets were on, every player was like, this guy, they loved the guy. There was never any, when I watched Kyler Murray and the Cardinals on it, there wasn't many guys praising. I mean, they weren't bad-mouthing Kyler Murray, but there wasn't praise for Kyler Murray coming out of other guys either. It was really, that seemed like a pretty tight locker room in New York the one year they were in Hard Knocks, which is last year. And I still think that something happened with that press conference and the loss yesterday. I think was a whole, and I think players may have gotten fired, but not Aaron Rodgers.
Well,
I really don't.
I seen another thing that there was actually reports that they were going to fire Hackett.
Oh, okay.
That Saleh wanted to fire Hackett, and that may have led to him being fired.
Yeah.
I mean, the weirder thing is, can we talk about him being taken out of the building, removed by security?
That's what I said, yes. Well, they escorted him out. I don't know what that means. There was never nothing written where it said he was being belligerent or crazy, but most teams will probably let you say goodbyes.
He wasn't even allowed to talk to the players and tell the players, so that's a weird thing.
Yeah, I don't know what went on there. Maybe
it's the first. I'm
going to tell you,
it's the first time it ever happened.
I'm going to tell you that points to me that the players didn't care he was fired, and
they must have already known.
I don't think it was just Aaron Rodgers. I think this was a player mutiny type thing, and I think the player maybe Rodgers led it, but when you attack the quarterback and pretty much to the media, other guys are like, well, am I next? If I mess up, is he going to call me out in the media? And I don't want that. I don't like this. And people may not get it. And people, around here, a lot of people still are sour on Rodgers. But you have to believe if you're at your job and your boss went in front of everybody and called you out in front of everybody and in something that really you've been doing for 10 years this same way, and also you get called out for one day because the guy next to you messed up doing the same thing, but it was your fault. I'm sure other people are like, I don't want to be called out. I don't like this boss anymore. So I think it goes deeper, and I think this might have been a player mutiny type thing. And I think they went to ownership and said, yeah, he needs to go. We don't. This ain't working. And I don't like when this happens. Players, if it did, where players get the decision. But I think the Jets, if they have a plan in place, which I don't know, their defense coordinator is going to be the interim coach now. I don't think it's a plan. I think they're just going to have the same system. Maybe a different voice will help them. Maybe they like this guy a lot. Maybe this guy's an awesome guy. I always see him on TV. You guys know who he is. I don't know his name. What was his name?
Jeff Ulbrich?
Yeah, Jeff Ulbrich, guy with the beard.
He plays for the
looks
Niners.
like an old bodybuilder. That's what he looks like to me. And he gray hair, really well-kept fella, and he looks like a guy that was – yeah, he looks like a guy who will come after you if you can. And
he'll bite your kneecap off.
They need that. Maybe they need that, but we'll see. But yeah, Robert Saleh was fired this week. First firing of the year, kind of early, but I guess
a surprise hot seat firing too.
When you're 2-3 and you're only a game out of first, it's now or never, I guess. And you got Roger who's his 40, and you don't have him for 4 more years probably. So maybe they're looking at that too. We need to get the most we can out of this guy, and we'll see. So. Yeah, that's Robert Saleh was fired today. He'll make a defense coordinator somewhere. He'll be somewhere because he is a good defense coordinator. So we'll see where he ends up. So yeah, the Vikings are off this week. Bears travel to London to play the Jaguars. Also, you have the Packers and Cardinals at Lambeau Field, and you have the Lions at the Cowboys playing at Dallas. So that's NFC North schedule this week. And you will have... Hopefully, I think every team wins, so we're gonna have the same thing as nothing will change in the division. It'll be same records, and we're gonna have 4 teams, all 2 or more games over 500 in NFC North, I think, this week, which would be probably for sure the best record in the league. So, division-wise, this division is a good division, and hopefully all the teams keep playing well, and we have some good battles to go out the year because that makes it fun football when every team has a chance to win every game. So, any closing thoughts on this week's game? Bears and Jaguars in London.
No, it's getting through this season. It's moving.
Yeah, so this sounds like you're from London this weekend. Suck blood. That's not the same thing. But so this week the Bears, check them out. And thank you once again. This is the 46 Zone Podcast. Check us out on different platforms. Also, don't forget about the Basement Benchwarmers podcast. That is on usually every Monday night. You can check us out on Facebook Live, YouTube we're on. One more thing, we're on Twitch, I believe we're on. So we used to be on X, but they make you pay for it now, so we got off that. We don't pay for anything. We do everything free as we can here. And so check that Basement Benchwarmers podcast. That's myself. I got Ed, Willie, Eric, Rick stops by once in a while, and Tim's here with us. Jace will stop in with some tidbits with us. So, yeah, that's our Basement Benchwarmers. But this is the 46 Zone Podcast. And for Jace, I am Scott. And have a great week, and bear down.